Okay, welcome once again to Tibu TV. As I always tell you, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share whatever we put out there. It's very informative, educative, and entertaining. Today I have one big man who has received many awards for his contribution into the media space. And in Boga here, or when you mention Joy News, everybody knows that it is this person we are going to have a chat with. He goes by the name Mr. Albert Sorry, Boga reporter for Joy News. Please join me as we have a chat with him. Thank you. Welcome once again to Tibu TV.
Thank you.
And then my first question is, who is Albert Sorry?
Well, I'm a journalist. I work for Joy News from the Upper East region. I'm the regional correspondent here. I'm also from the Upper East region here. I'm from the Nabdam district, Pelungu to be precise. So that's me.
That's you. Why media?
I guess God has a talent for everybody. I never thought I would end up in the media space, but I would say somehow accidentally. When I finished senior high school, if you are in this part of the country, normally you'll be thinking about nursing, teacher training college or university. But I couldn't go immediately. So while I was trying to, wait for my chance to go to nursing or whatever, there was a radio station in Boga here at the time called Rock FM. And one of my friends was working there. He was doing attachment there in the accounts office. And he told me they were looking for somebody to be a sports analyst at that time because I wasn't in school or anything. And he knew that I was very enthusiastic about sports, football and all. He asked me if I could do it. So then I went to the place and then I started going there to do sports analysis with the sports presenter there. And that's how I started. And eventually, I got here.
So I met you at A1 Radio.
Yeah.
How did that one also?
Well, so along the line, I worked at Rock FM. In fact, I didn't start working. Like I said, I was working as a sports panelist, if you like. And so along the line, the person who was hosting the sports program left the station. And so they decided that if, I've been working closely with him, so why don't I take over? And so I took over and I also looked for other people who would come and help me, to do the discussions and all of that. And I was the sports presenter there for some time. This was in 2007, 2008. And so I left the station after a year because I needed to go back to school. So I had a few papers that I needed to write, which I did. I left, sometime later in 2008 to go and write my NOVDEC and all of that. So after that, I didn't go back, and I got that. So it was, in the course of this sports presentation at Rock FM that I met other people. One of them is Karim Natoma. He works with City FM now. Well, I don't know if he works there presently, but he was the City FM reporter. He came there at the time also doing national service. And he always encouraged me that looking at the way I present, how I go about it, he thought that I should consider journalism as a career. And then he helped me discover that, apart from the Ghana Institute of Journalism, there was another school which, you could go to, which was the African University of Communications, College of Communications, the AUCC. So when I passed my exams, I decided to go to the AUCC. And so it was between writing my papers and going to school that they started A1 Radio.
Oh.
So they called me there to start the sports show there as well. So after about 3 months or so, I left to school. So when I got to school, I realized sports in Upper East wasn't going to be enough for me because I felt I needed a career. Maybe today is different now because I know that the sports guys who are presenting on radio are doing well. But at the time, sports presentation was more like a hobby. It wasn't paying.
Yeah.
You know, so when I went to school, I decided to branch into news. So anytime I was on holidays and I go to A1 Radio. But this time, even though I was still going on the sports show to present and analyze and all of that, I was still helping with the news gathering and writing news stories, you know. So that's how A1 Radio started.
So how did your parents, take that news? Because they knew their son is coming up to actually be a teacher, a nurse, or what have you. And then all of a sudden, they saw you, going into that area.
I would say that at the beginning, especially when I was working for free, my mother didn't like the idea. But they were comfortable with it because at the time I didn't have any other options. I wasn't in school, I wasn't working anywhere else. There weren't any other opportunities where maybe if I had left, I would have taken those opportunities. So yeah, once in a while, my mother would, complain about, how she thought I was wasting my time going there and working and not getting paid and all of that. But along the line, when people started appreciating what I do, they got used to it. And towards finishing school, A1 Radio drafted me to host the morning show along the line. And so I became more popular and people were praising how I was working. And so, they just felt that, maybe this was actually God's plan for me. Yeah, so. Yeah, along the line, I also moved on from A1 Radio. And I think it was around that time that, you had some concerns that you wanted. I think you were raising about something that was being done on the show. Yeah. So at that time, I had left.
Yes. So that should tell you my interest in, in the media space and then those things. So now, the bigger picture now is Joy News.
Yeah.
How did Joy News come in?
Yeah, so while I was working, when I came to A1 Radio, because I had just come fresh from school, I was passionate, I was looking for opportunities. So I made a lot of sacrifices. I was hosting the sports shows. If they sent me to go and cover news stories, I would go. I would make sure I deliver the story by the time they need it and all of that. And the manager there at the time, was observing how I was working. And I was introducing a new things that they were not doing because I had just come from school. So I'm not saying this to boast, but I think I would say I was the first person who came and, started doing special features where I would go interview people about a community problem, do a radio documentary about it. They were doing news, but nobody was doing it. And I came and started doing that, and it made the news more interesting. So he was observing me, and he felt if there was the opportunity for them to employ me formally, he would do it. Because at the time, I wasn't even employed with them. I was just hanging around and doing all of that. So along the line, they needed somebody to host the morning show. I had just come, and he called me and asked if I could do it, because you know how these morning shows are, where you host these politicians and how aggressive they can get. And at the time, I was just a small boy, so he was asking if I can do it. I said, well, I never thought I wanted to go in that direction, but let me try. If it doesn't go out the way, I mean, it doesn't go how you want it, or if I'm not able to do it, you can always take me off and put someone else there. So that was it. When I started hosting the morning show, I was helping with the news. And then Joy FM started calling the station because A1 Radio is their affiliate in Upper East. So they were looking for a reporter to be reporting for them. And so because of what I was doing and how the manager noticed it, he gave them my name, and the news editor called me. And so I started reporting for Joy FM. At that time, Joy News hadn't started in terms of TV. So later when Multi-TV came, they started Joy News alongside. Then the news editor of Joy News wanted to find somebody who can be a correspondent for them because their correspondent had also left at the time. So they gave my name to them, and so Joy FM called. I started reporting for them. This was in 2011, thereabout. Yes. So at the time, Joy News had not started. So somewhere in 2012, when Multi-TV started and the Joy News channel was created, and they started the news production, the news editor of Joy News also thought that for her to get correspondence, she probably had to start with those of us who were already working as correspondents for Joy FM. Luckily, I had the opportunity to do attachment at TV3 before coming home to work with A1 Radio. So I had that experience reporting for TV news. So when I went to meet the editor of Joy News at that time, it was easy because she realized I already had the experience. And I even had my own camera at the time, which was one camcorder I was using. And so it made it very easy. So that's how Joy News started.
Okay. So are you looking forward to remain with Joy News, or you still want to move somewhere else?
I don't think that anybody decides to do one particular thing for the rest of their life.
Right. Yeah.
So yes, along the line, other opportunities may come, and then I will move on. I have my own communications business, which I'm growing little by little. I do private documentaries, video advertising, and I have clients I work for. And since 2016, I've been expanding it little by little. So if it gets to where I'm hoping it gets to, there's no, everybody wants to be their own boss. Yeah. So maybe along the line, of course, I will move on. But for now, I'm still working for Joy News.
Okay, so the level of, or the kind of enthusiasm you were having for this, I mean, wherever you worked, I mean, all this responsibility given to you, how you handle them, do you see that kind of enthusiasm in this youth we see today?
I think that it normally depends on the individual you are dealing with. Some people are exposed to opportunities at a time where maybe they haven't had the experiences that will enable them to handle the opportunity when it comes. For me, I would say that those days when after senior high school I couldn't go immediately and all my mates moved on, and me having to sit at home and watch them go to school, go to university and come back, made me very aware of how life really is supposed to be at a very early age. And so when I finally also got the opportunity to discover myself and discover what I was capable of or what my talents were. Anywhere I got to and there was the opportunity for me to show the talent, no matter what sacrifice I needed to make, I had to make it. And so, to your question, I think that I can't speak generally for the youth, but over the time that I've also worked and had to lead people in on radio in Upper East, because along the line I became the news editor at A1. When Sahel FM opened, I was called to work as the programs manager there. So I got the opportunity to lead other people. And one of the things you realize is, in terms of passion, it normally depends on the individual. Some people come already aware of what they want to do, where they want to get to, and all of that. So whatever they need to do, they do it. Some people just stumble on the opportunity and they don't really know what they want or how they want to use the opportunity, or they tend to take the opportunity that they have for granted. And so passion really depends on the individual and what they have been exposed to, as against when the opportunity finally comes for them to take it. And some people also don't have the gift. They are just interested in becoming media people or journalists, but they don't have that. I mean, you need to have the natural talent. You need to know, okay, when an incident happens, this will be news, or this will be a good story to tell on the TV, or this person and what they are doing will be a good story to tell. That thing has to come to you naturally before you even use your training or whatever to be able to tell the story. And some people, excuse me to say, may have different talents, but not this kind of talent. And so when you find yourself in a situation where you are trying to push yourself into an area where you were not maybe designed or cut out to do, you will struggle. So it's those things that
so
I would say.
Let's come back to your awards.
Yeah.
I've seen you, grab many awards. Tell us something about that and how they all started.
Yeah, so the first award I won, okay, the first time I got recognized for anything was, I think, in 2012. At that time, I was at A1. And because of the news, even though I was doing the morning show, I was doing news stories. I did this story about child labor and Africates. Ghana had this dinner and awards night, and they decided to give me a certificate, if you like, something to appreciate that they had noticed what I was doing. So it was the first time I got recognized for anything. But the first major award I won was in 2017, when they started the West Africa Media Conference and Awards for the first time. They had this segment called the SDGs Reporting Awards. And I had entered some of my stories and won the second prize for that.
Wow.
So from there, I've won Cheval this last year.
How did you feel for your first award? After receiving your first, how did you feel?
Yeah, I mean, the West Africa Media and Conference Awards, I knew I was going to win it, because by the time I entered my story for that, I had entered several stories for different awards, and I didn't even, I don't know, I wasn't called, so I knew I didn't get close. But by the time I submitted for that particular award, I looked at how I had grown, and I knew that the stories that I submitted were most likely going to make it. So I wasn't really surprised. I thought I was even going to win the first prize, but I mean, it was a national competition, and somebody had a better story than me, so I got the second prize. So yeah, it was exciting. How many people were calling and texting, and once I posted a picture of the award, I had over 1,000 reactions on my Facebook, which I had never experienced before. So yeah, it was exciting.
Good. And so now, what will you tell the youth out there, especially in Upper East here? You know, most of them, you see the kind of lifestyle and all those kind of things. What do you have for them? Because now you have become an icon. Yeah,
Well,
I can see.
I don't, I wouldn't say I'm the guy who comes out and speaks and people will automatically change or whatever.
Sure.
But I mean, if you've observed what I've been able to do and you are inspired by it, I think that is great. And so for me, I I just feel that life is pretty much simple, only that we complicate it for ourselves. And so if you really want to achieve, you know, results in whatever you are doing, for me, I think that you've got to know in your heart and be honest with yourself that this is a gift that you have. You cannot be a footballer if you've never kicked a football before. And so you need to be sure that this is a gift that you have. And then get training, sacrifice when you have to, work for free sometimes, because that is what will let people see that you actually have the talent and be willing to employ you or work with you. You know, and don't listen to too much criticism. Accept what people say, but at the end of the day, take your own decisions as you feel will be able to help you. Yeah, so for me, I think that that is how naturally things will fall in place for you. Some things will, will take some time before they happen for you. But as long as you are making the efforts and giving yourself time, being patient with yourself, and being realistic about situations, you will eventually get there.
Sure. So now, are there certain people you would like to, I mean, appreciate for
Yeah, I
contributing
mean,
into your
there's a
growth?
lot of people. First, I the first person I will thank is Kamal Din Abdallah. Uh, he's now with the MPP. He was the owner of Rock FM at the time, and he was the one who gave me the first opportunity to even be on radio, you know, and that is how I discovered myself. So I think I owe him a lot. It wasn't always easy, but if he hadn't given me the opportunity, maybe the story would have been different. And so I owe him a lot of thanks. I owe Karim Natoma a lot of thanks as well, because he was the one who told me that, look, I've seen that how you present, how you talk, how you write, you can actually go far in journalism. And he was the person who, you know, tuned my mind towards journalism as a career, because even at the time when I was on radio doing sports, I was still thinking of passing my exams and going to nursing school or going to the university to go and pursue other things. So yes, and then I also owe my parents as well a lot of thanks, because they paid my fees, they fed me. I mean, so I cannot you know, take them out. I would thank also Emma Morrison. She was a news manager at TV3, and later she joined us at Journey. She still texts me from time to time when she sees my stories, because I walked into TV3 at the time when she was general news manager and told them, I'm from Upper East Region, I want to go and report for you, you know, when I finish school. And she said, okay, we don't have a reporter there, so you come and do attachments with us. Let's see how we can train you. And then, you know, so it was that opportunity that also helped me to develop. So
Do you know Emma Morrison is from my hometown?
I know she is Fanti,
yes.
but yeah. So
his father is called Akweku.
okay.
Yeah, a very rich man. But he passed on.
Yeah,
May he so
I
rest
owe
in
Emma
peace.
Morrison a lot of gratitude, because you know, in Ghana, most people think that for you to get somewhere, you need to have connections or whatever. I didn't get to Emma Morrison through anybody.
No.
She came to our school at AUCC when we had this we had this lecture where every Wednesday or Friday, I can't remember, they will bring somebody who is already practicing to come and teach you how the media world is outside the walls of the school. And she was invited to give us a lecture. So when she finished, she left her email address with us. And it was the email I just took and emailed her and told her, I was in that class that you came to lecture in. I'm from Bolga, and I would like to work as a reporter for you when I'm done. So I don't know if that sounds like a good idea. Surprisingly, she replied the email and asked me to come to her office and see her. So yeah,
Wow.
I cannot, I can't ever forget how helpful she was.
Yeah,
And when I got to TV3, she actually made sure that she assigned somebody that she thought could teach me the way she wanted me to report, because she said there were a lot of human interest stories in my region. So she needed to assign me to a specific reporter who does special features, and so I was assigned to Jojo Kobna, who is also at Joy News now. And he taught me a lot of things, and so yeah, I owe Jojo a lot of thanks as well.
You really
And
got
so many
lucky because you had
Yeah.
great people, to lead you into where you are
Yeah,
today.
yeah. I would say
It's
so,
nice.
that I was very privileged, but again, it also comes down to you being willing to try, because if I had sat there thinking the opportunity will come from somewhere, or I had to go through someone to get me to Emma Morrison, it probably wouldn't have happened, because I wouldn't have met anybody who can take me to her. But I just decided to try my luck by emailing her, and it worked. So,
That is
you
life.
know, yeah.
In fact, thank you so much. We have
Yeah.
learned a lot from you. And I'm sure anyone who watches this interview will be very happy and will be able to learn a whole lot of things. Don't forget
I
to
hope so.
subscribe. We have more things for you. Okay, thank you so much.
Subscribe
Mr.
to
Tibu TV.
Tibu TV. Yeah.
Yes,
Subscribe to it.
yes. All right, thank you so much.
All right.
Are you on UCC campus? Are you in need of hair? Then I introduce to you Amy's hair collection. She has all sort of hair, including butter curl, silky straight hair, afro pon, pinky hair, and afro wigs. Contact her on 055 488 2927.